So what is JavaScript? We are right now in this website. I'm the developer that mozilla.org. So you can go to their website, you can start read all this information about JavaScript, HTML, CSS. But here's this. Welcome to the MDM Beginners JavaScript course. In this article, we will look at JavaScript from a high level, answering questions such as what is it and what can you do with it, and making sure you are comfortable with JavaScript's purpose. So you have prerequisites: basic computer literacy, a basic understanding of HTML and CSS. What is the objective? To gain familiarity with what JavaScript is, what it can do, and how it fits into a website. So, a high level definition: JavaScript is a scripting or programming language that allows you to implement complex features on web pages. Every time a web page does more than just sit there and display static information for you to look at, displaying timely content updates, interactive maps, animated 2D, 3D graphics, scrolling video, jukeboxes, etc. You can bet that JavaScript is probably involved. It is the third layer of the layer cake of standard web technologies, two of which HTML and CSS. So if you want to read, there's the links. So we have the link for HTML, the structure in the web with HTML. They also giving you the link for the CSS, learn style HTML using CSS. So, but yeah, like they say, JavaScript is the third layer. So the first layer would be HTML, second layer would be CSS, and the third layer would be JavaScript. And that is what they consider standard web technologies. So HTML is the markup language that we use to structure and give meaning to our web content. For example, defining paragraphs, headings, and data tables, or embedding images and videos in the page. CSS is a language of style rules that we use to apply styling to our HTML content. For example, setting background colors and fonts, and laying out our content in multiple columns. JavaScript is a scripting language that enables you to create dynamically updating content, control multimedia, animate images, and pretty much everything else. So the three layers build on top of one another nicely. Let's take a simple text label as an example. We can mark it up using HTML to give it a structure and purpose. Okay, so I'm gonna go to a folder that I have here. Inside this folder I have another folder called JavaScript, and here I'm gonna put my JavaScript projects. I'm gonna create a new folder. I'm gonna call it, I don't know, maybe basic. You can call it whatever name you want. So I'm gonna right click here. I'm gonna open in terminal. I'm using Windows 11 here, so if you're using like Windows 10, I think in your Windows is gonna show something like that. It's gonna, and then from here you can use, if you want, get bash here, or probably it's gonna be the command prompt. So I'm just gonna right click and open in terminal. By default I'm using the Windows PowerShell, so but you can change to the command prompt, Azure Cloud Shell. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna type code space that and then press enter. So right now it opened in Visual Studio Code. What I'm gonna do is Control plus tilde to open my incorporated terminal. Again, from here you can use PowerShell, get bash, command prompt. I'm just gonna go with PowerShell. So we can close this, and okay, let me see. we can mark it up using HTML to give it a structure and purpose. So we're gonna create an HTML file inside basic. This is our folder. We're gonna create a new file, so we press here, new file. We're gonna name it main.html, where we're gonna using a Windows. So what I do is shift plus exclamation mark, and then you press this exclamation sign here, not this one but the first one. You just press it, or you just press enter, and you can click save. So you save it right now. So we're gonna copy this and we're gonna put it inside of the body. So we have inside angle brackets, we have P. P stands for paragraph, so we have angle brackets P. Inside of these two angle brackets we have player one, the name Chris. We end up that line of code. When you end up a line of code in HTML, you end up with a slash. In this case we started with paragraph P, so we're gonna close it as slash P. So right now I'm gonna open it to see if it's working. I'm gonna open it with live server and click right here. So yeah, it's working. Oh, and by the way, if you don't have it, you can go to extensions, and here you can type in live server. You type in live server and you download it here. Let me see. Okay, this one, live server by Ridwick Day. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It has around more than 28 million downloads, so, or installations. So launch a development local server with live reload features for static and dynamic pages. So yeah, it's gonna come in handy using this extension. So right now we're going into, okay, we did that. So okay, then we can add some CSS into the mix to get it looking nice. Okay, we're gonna create another file with extension. It's gonna end up like .css, and we're gonna paste these lines of code. So we can just go here. We're gonna go in our basic folder and the new file. We're gonna name it again name.css, and you can name it whatever name you want. Doesn't really matter, as long as when you do the connections, yeah, you have to, for example, once we incorporate CSS into our HTML, for example, if the name is main CSS, you have to connect it with main CSS. And once we connected JavaScript, if we name it main.js, so we're gonna connect it again with that name main.js. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna paste it. So what I did is I just copied these lines of code and I just pasted in this file called main.css. And see, they have a P here that stands for the paragraph. It means that it's targeting only the paragraph, so it's targeting this number line. So inside of the paragraph we have we open curly braces and we have the font family Helvetica Nu, Helvetica, Sans Serif, letter spacing web pixel. But if we go to our HTML, nothing happens, right? So it's not looking nice. Why is that? Because we didn't connect. We need to connect the main CSS into our main.html, and we do that using link. Here's a how to add CSS. When a browser reads a style sheet, it will format the HTML document according to the information and the style sheets. So there are three ways to insert CSS. There are three ways of inserting a style sheet: external CSS, that is the one that we're doing, internal CSS, and line CSS. So external CSS: with an external style sheet, you can change the look of an entire website by changing just one file. Each HTML page must include a reference to the external style sheet file inside of the angle brackets link element inside of the head section. So we're gonna grab this one. Let's just type it in. Let's try it. Okay, so it's gonna be again link. We're gonna use it was a reference, it was the rel. Okay, for example, and then you have also in VS Code, this attribute means a relationship of the link document to the current document. The attribute must be a space separate list of the link types value, and you can still read more. So but here we're gonna type in style sheet is style sheet. Outside of that is gonna be href, and then we're gonna put the name of our CSS file. In this case, its name is main.css, so it's gonna be main.css. Let me see, ref is style sheet, and then href. Okay, yeah, and this is gonna be inside of the head. Okay, and then we save it with Ctrl+C, and let's see if that works. Okay, yeah, it works here. Now it's looking nicely. Another thing you can do is Ctrl+Shift+I, and you can see here your element. You're opening your Windows Chrome DevTools. So right now we are in so and the CSS file, like I said, we have the font family. You have Helvetica Nu, Helvetica, Sans Serif. You have letter spacing. They have 1 pixel. You can play with that. For example, you have 1 pixel. Imagine if you put, I don't know, 100, and then you save it. Let me see how. Oh man, see, you can play around. You can going back to 1 pixel, save it. Text hyphen transform is uppercase, so as you can see, everything is in uppercase. So if you change it to lowercase, let's change it lowercase. Well, you know what's gonna happen, right? So everything's gonna be in lowercase. We can just go back to uppercase, save it. Text align is gonna be center, so center. What else? So you have the border 2 pixel. Let's see, we can put 200. Let me see. Damn. Okay, so let's put 20. Yeah, looks kind of. It was 2, so I'll just leave it at 2. Then you have the solid, so you have the RGBA. I think it stands for red, green, blue, alpha. So you can change a bunch of colors here. For example, we have, it's kind of like a purple here. Let's change a little bit. I don't know. Let's go here. Let's see what happens. Okay, it changed a little bit here. Again with the background. So the background, you can play around. You can choose this one. Let's see what happens. And again, it changed a little bit. So you have the color again. I don't know, maybe we can go with kind of like a red, something like that. Save it and see, it's changing. So what else? You have the box, shadow. You have 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 2 pixel. So like I said, you can play around, you can modify these lines if you want. Let's go with you have the idea right now, so let's just reset it. Okay, let me see. Yeah, it's back to normal. Okay, you have the idea how to connect your CSS to your HTML file. And for example, if the I don't know whatever name you put for your CSS, let's say you put whatever that CSS, and your main.html file, you have to put in the h reference whatever that CSS. So you got the idea. Well, control plus tilde, and then we're gonna go what else? Okay. And finally, we can add some JavaScript to implement dynamic behavior. Okay, so we're gonna create a JavaScript file and we're gonna name it main.js. And here we're gonna, okay, let's start typing. So I'm not gonna be lazy. So it's gonna be cons. This time it's gonna be para. It's assign document the query selector, document the query selector, and we're selecting the paragraph. So we end up with a semicolon. Okay, then this para that add event listener, and it's gonna listen for a click. Okay, comma, update name. So update name. So every time you click it's gonna update the name. Okay, sounds good. Para that at event listener, click update name. Okay, then we're gonna create a function update name. So okay, since a function you have to put parentheses, space, open curly braces, not brackets, curly braces, and we're gonna type in const name is equal to the prompt. It's gonna prompt you to, it's gonna ask you to, okay, to enter a name, enter a name. Okay, then para that context, next line, para that context, okay, para that text context. Okay, text content. Let me see, it's gonna assign player one, so equal to backticks, player one, and here we're gonna put $, open curly braces, and we're gonna put name. So when the application asks you enter a name or prompts you to enter a name, the name that you enter is gonna appear here. So it's gonna appear player one colon, and then the name that you put. If you put, I don't know, John, Kyle, whatever name, is gonna appear here, John Kyle. So we save it with Control S, and since we added an event listener, it's gonna listen for a click. So we have to, once you click it, it's gonna prompt you, it's gonna ask you to enter a name, but nothing's happened, because we didn't connect our JavaScript file to our HTML file. So we can go here at the end of the body, or inside it. Yeah, we can go in the end of the body and go for a script, and we can close it. Okay, so we type in angle brackets script, then angle brackets slash script. No, this one was not. So inside of this script file is gonna be our source, and inside of this source is gonna be main.js, main.js. So okay, and then we'll have to script here. Okay, here is okay, external JavaScript. Again, you can go to this website, www.w3schools.com. They have very good information. So external JavaScript scripts can also be placed in external files. External scripts are practical when the same code is used in many different web pages. JavaScript files have file extension .js. To use an external script, put the name of the script file in the source ASRC attribute of the script tag. So like we did here, so we open angle brackets, we type in script space the source, the name of the file, the JavaScript file in this case is main.js. So the source is gonna be equal open double quotes main.js, and then we close it as they are doing it here. So right now we save it. And by the way, you can place an external script reference in head or body as you like. So in head or body, I placed it inside of the body, or well, outside of the body. Let me see, I guess I can go and place it inside of the body here. Let me see and save it. Okay, so if we click it, okay, see, it's working. Enter a name, so it's gonna go John, and then press enter. Player 1, John. Okay, we do it again, click it, enter a name. We put I don't know, Ilan. Player 1, Ilan. Okay, so yeah, you can read this information here. Like I said, you can place an external script reference in head or body as you like. The script will behave as if it was located exactly where the script tag is located. So pretty much, yeah, this is this application here. What else they say here? Try clicking on the last version of the text label to see what happens. Know also that you can find this demo on GitHub, and they give you a bunch of codes here or links that you can read into it. So right now, for example, we are in this main.html, but for example, I have installed the extension live server, so I am in port 5500, so I can just go to localhost 5500, and as you can see, I have my main CSS, my main.html, and my main.js. So if you wanna go here exactly, you have to put localhost colon 5500 and then slash, and then it was main.html, like this, main.html, and then you go, and then yeah, pretty much how you can access it. So JavaScript can do a lot more than that. Let's explore what more in detail, so you can read this information. So what can really do? The core client-side JavaScript language consists of some common programming features that allow you to do things like store useful values inside variables. In the above example, for instance, We ask for a new name to be entered when store that name in a variable called name. Operations and pieces of text known as strings in programming. In the above example, we take the string player here, the string player 1 colon, and join it to the name variable to create a complete text label. For example, player 1 Chris. So running code in response to certain events occurring in a web page. We use a click event. Again, you can click the click link event, and you can read this documentation, it's very extensive. In our example above, to detect when the label is clicked, and then run the code that updates the text label, and much more. What is even more exciting, however, is the functionality built on top of the client-side JavaScript language. So-called application programming interfaces, APIs, provide you with extra superpowers to use in your JavaScript code. Okay. APIs are ready-made sets of code building blocks that allow a developer to implement programs that would otherwise be hard or impossible to implement. They do the same thing for programming that ready-made furniture kits do for home building. It is much easier to take ready cut panels and screw them together to make a bookshelf than it is to work out the design yourself, go and find the correct wood, cut all the panels to the right size and shape, find the correct size, screws, and then put them together and make a bookshelf. Okay, that's a good analogy. They generally fall into two categories. So you have the third-party APIs, and then you have the browser. You have the Firefox here. Browser APIs are built into your web browser and are able to expose data from the surrounding computer environment or do useful complex things. For example, the DOM, Document Object Model API, allows you to manipulate HTML and CSS, creating, removing, and changing HTML, dynamically applying new styles to your page, etc. Every time you see a pop-up window appear on a page or some new content displayed, as we saw above in our simple demo, for example, that's the DOM in action. You can read about the DOM, the Document Object Model. We have also the geolocation API, retrieves geographical information. This is how Google Maps is able to find your location and plot it on a map. You have the Canvas and the WebGL APIs allow you to create animated 2D and 3D graphics. People are doing some amazing things using these web technologies. See Chrome experiments in WebGL samples, and you have a bunch of links here. Audio and video APIs like HTML Media Element and WebRTC allow you to do really interesting things with multimedia, such as play audio and video right in a web page, or grab video from your web camera and display it on someone else's computer. Try our simplest snapshot demo. Man, there's a lot of information here. Note, many of the above demos won't work in an older browser. When experimenting, it's a good idea to use a modern browser like Firefox, Chrome, Edge, or Opera. I haven't heard of this one. To run your code, you will need to consider cross-browser testing in more detail when you get closer to delivering production code. So yeah, for example, I have Edge, I have Firefox, and I have Chrome. Third-party APIs are not built into the browser by default, and you generally have to grab their code and information from somewhere on the web. For example, you have the Twitter API, allows you to do things like displaying your latest tweets on your website. You have the Google Maps API and OpenStreetMap API, allows you to embed custom maps into your website and other such functionality. Note, These APIs are advanced and will not be covering any of these in this module. You can find out much more about these in our client-side web API module. So again, another link you can read. There is a lot more available